We're back. We're here. We
We
are
are
here.
here.
We are here. Michael's back from vacation. Welcome back, Michael. The beard looks full and healthy.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
We got Spicy Queso at the bottom. Spicy Queso's been a guest on the show before. So we got some usual suspects, of course. What the heck? Okay. I don't know what happened there, Michael. But we're back on Count the Bucket. We got playoff basketball to talk about. We got Spicy Queso's Lakers. Oh, boy. Michael's hate for the Lakers and LeBron. Oh, boy. I am just the middleman. You know what I mean? I just play the middleman when it comes to those debates. But the NBA playoffs got a little more interesting here this past week. I mean, it got a lot of interesting things to talk about, but we're gonna dive all into that. We're gonna let Michael and Spicy Queso brag about themselves, and we're gonna get into some sponsors, and we're gonna talk NBA basketball.
All right. Well, I will start the bragging off first. My Twitter handle is down below at Matt_Skura. Instagram at Matt_Skura20. Check out a link in my Instagram bio that has to where me and my great friend Caleb Conant have our own sports podcast called MCS Real Sports Podcast. We talk all things NBA and NFL related, you name it. We're available everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Make sure you give our episodes a listen and subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Tell us what you like about the podcast. And I'm definitely excited to be talking about basketball here in this show.
And as you can tell, my handler, I'm too old for this stuff. Check me out on Twitter with MDLawson00. It's also my Instagram. It's even my Twitch, but I'm more just there to watch stuff than I am to broadcast things. But I'm also a co-host for our Count the Bucket, as you see, every Saturday night, 10:30 o'clock, Eastern time, that is. And then also Backstop Banter. Vacay's got me. I'm done. Backstop Banter on Thursday nights, 10 p.m. as well. And we've got some guests lined up I'm really excited about. I don't want to name drop yet, but I've got two guys lined up back-to-back weeks possibly. That's kind of interesting for me. I'm really happy about this.
All right. Of course, I'm Amber. I'm your host of Count the Bucket. You can follow me on Twitter at simplyme_AV. I made a link tree.
Nice.
And the link is in the bio on Twitter because I have a lot of things that I do, guys. So the link is in the bio on Twitter. I do a lot. Trying to trim down what I do, but I enjoy what I do. So that's that with that. All right, fellas, let's get to some sponsors. We're gonna run through these like real quick because I really want to talk basketball. All right, here we go. We have to do what the boss says. So I'm going to screen share. I am going to screen share. The chat's been hot lately. Okay, the chat's been hot with bets, and they've been killing it with bets. All right. So check out mybookie.ag. Use the code USN100 to double your first deposit. Don't they fight tonight? Do Logan Paul and Mayweather fight tonight?
No, they fight tomorrow.
Tomorrow on a Sunday? That is so odd. But I think does Chad Ocho fight tonight? Chad Ochocinco fight tonight? Does he fight tonight?
I believe that's on the same name. That's on the name card.
Oh, it's on the same card. Oh, okay, guys. I'm sorry. So I guess the Mayweather fight is tomorrow, and then Chad Ochocinco fight is tomorrow. That's very interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, Paul. Okay, here we go. There it is. Okay, I see it now. But there's a lot of UFC going on tonight, of course. NASCAR. Golf, anything you need, baseball, basketball, which basketball's over tonight, but you can bet on some Sunday games tomorrow. So check out mybookie.ag. Use the code USN100 to double your first deposit. Next up, we have the Patreon. Woo! Join the Patreon, guys. That chat is getting spicy. A lot of betting, like I said before. People are winning money like crazy in the chat. $1 a month, you become a fan, general support. $5 a month, become part of the family. You get 10% off the Teespring shop, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And you get 24/7 access to our Patreon Discord chat, which is very, very interesting. $10 a month, VIP. All right, you get 20% off the Teespring shop. That chat that goes crazy every day. You get out access to that. We've been keeping up with our memorabilia here lately. So we've had Keenan Allen jersey signed, David Montgomery jersey signed, the miniature Ricky Williams helmet signed, and then the Brandon Ayuk poster signed. So 4 giveaways we've had thus far. We're going to have another one for June, of course. Perry hasn't released that, I don't believe yet. I think he's still working on it. So if you get in this VIP club, you get in the running for that. So check out patreon.com/unwrapped sports and support the Unwrapped Sports Network. Now I have oh no, almost. What am I doing? Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long day. almost ended the show.
Oh, wow. Don't do that now.
We got teespring.com/store/unwrapped. We got some OG gear, some new label gear. We got the Friends, type gear. They had a reunion on HBO Max that I haven't watched yet. Some more OG gear. Come on. Oh boy, the King. Oh boy, Matt, you can get into that a little later. I have this sticker and I have this hoodie as well. I think I have it in gray. Some more gear. We have live lineup gear. This is where we get to brag. All right, Fights Unwrapped, Gen Z Sports, Fourth Man Pod. The Big Three is coming back. Yes. The People's XFL Show. Look at that. Isn't that fro just beautiful? All right, got Ladies First. That's my show on Thursday nights. Saturday night standout. Well, Saturday standouts. Michael, go ahead and brag.
Backstop banter. Those shirts are fire, as you all young Gen Zs say here. I don't know. I always want to say dope. That's my word I go to. Dope. And I know that's weird. We're awesome.
Yep, they're awesome. They're rad. All right.
Ooh, rad. There you go.
Yeah. Business casual. Got business casual basketball. We're showing our age here, keeping it blunt. You got the Prop Bros, of course, the Long Ball Lounge with Jesse. That's our new show. Check out the unwrapped.com. teespring.com/store/unwrapped.
We struggling tonight.
Man, this is bad, guys. I just and I do this every single time I do a show. Last but not least, before I can talk about playoff basketball, RX Hemp. I have something in there in my shoulder. I don't know what it is. RxHemp.com. Use the code RxHemp/USN to get 10% off your order. Warm and cool therapy. Pay attention to the dosage. Do not continue to rub more on if it does not kick in. Trust me, guys, it kicks in, okay? It kicks in.
After about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll feel it.
Yeah. Celebrity Believers is made with all natural products. So check out RxHemp.com. Use the code RxHemp/USN to get 10% off your entire order. Whew. All right. So what do we start?
Are we ready?
What do we start with first? I mean, we can talk about the Lakers. We can talk about the Knicks. We can talk about, whatever you guys want to talk about first. Looks like Connie knows what he wants to talk about first. Matt, if you want to let this frustration out to begin the show, you can, but Michael's going to dump all over it. I'm just going to be honest with you because we know how he feels about LeBron. Maybe. Maybe. So Ethan, our good friend Ethan, is off of strike because LeBron lost in the playoffs. So Matt, Ethan will be back on the show soon. How do you feel about the Lakers losing to the Suns in 6? How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm disappointed. I mean, you look at this is only the 6th time in NBA history to where a defending champion has lost in the first round. I thought for sure the Lakers as a team would go further. I mean, obviously earlier in the season, it sure as hell looked like it when they were putting up some of the best records in the NBA. And, it just so happened that the team just got filled with injuries. LeBron was never fully healthy. Anthony Davis was never fully healthy. As Charles Barkley says, Anthony Street Clothes Davis. And I mean, what I'm more disappointed about is how we went out. We didn't really go out with the fight. It was more like a dog whimper. It was like a dog putting its head down and walking to the corner. Like I just wished I would have saw more effort out of LeBron. Like when the series was tied at 2 in Game 5, when we were down by 30, and you saw LeBron walk to the locker room with 5 minutes left in the game, you kind of knew the series was over. Mm-hmm. Just because, I mean, you look at what separates, in my opinion, great players. What separates all-time great players and great players is the all-time greats. They are the leaders of their team, and they will do everything that they can and will their team to victory. Michael Jordan would do that with the Bulls. If Scotty went down, he would pull through, come through clutch. Kobe Bryant, whenever his star players were struggling, he would come through. He would will his team together. He would put the team on his back and do whatever it takes to win. We didn't really see that from LeBron in this series. I mean, the team was down by 30 at half, and yeah, you're down 30 at half, but you would think as a leader, just try and regroup, like try and regroup the team at half. And we didn't really see that. And, you know, it's the same situation in Game 6. I mean, the Phoenix Suns were red hot from the start, and it got to a point to where Devin Booker outscored the entire Lakers in the first quarter and almost had as many points as the Lakers did in the first half. I mean, it was just disappointing. You know, I expected more from the Lakers, but I mean, when you're filled with injuries, it's hard to go far. And I mean, you look at the Lakers. It's not like not like the Lakers were a top 5 seed. They were a 7 seed. In most situations, when you're a 7 seed, you're expected to lose to a 2 seed. It just so happened that this 7th seed was a team led by LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Frank Vogel, Andre Drummond, Montrezl Harrell, insert name. And, you know, I will say Dennis Schroeder is definitely regretting turning down that $84 million contract extension he was offered earlier this season, because I'll tell you now, he ain't getting that. You know, it's one of those to where I just expected more out of the Lakers. I thought there'd be more heart, more effort, and there wasn't. You know, Kuzma was flat out awful, and you know, it's just for the Lakers as a whole, it's just disappointing. You know, you're the defending champs. You would expect more, and you know, you also have to give credit to the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, and they showed it. You know, and you also have to give props to Chris Paul too. I mean, Chris Paul was the literal difference in this series, because you saw the Lakers coming back in Game 6. They cut that deficit to 12, and Monty Williams kind of in a way like bring out the relief pitcher. You look at Chris Paul like, Chris, come on up. Let's control the game here. What happens? Chris Paul instantly gets in the game, 2 quick buckets, controls the clock, and then you knew it was over. And, you know, now we just have to see how far Phoenix can go. You know, now, in my opinion, what I'm going to do now that the Lakers are eliminated, now I'm going to pull for Phoenix. You know, I'm going to see what they can do. Mm-hmm. You know, they finally win a playoff series for the first time in 11 years. And, you know, for the Lakers going the offseason, now it's just all about who to keep, who to trade, and then just hope to regroup in the offseason and get healthy, because when the Lakers are healthy, they have the capabilities to be one of the best teams in the NBA. We saw that during the season. When LeBron and AD was healthy and they were fully clicking, they had one of the best records in the NBA. It just so happened that this year they were full of injuries. So we'll see what happens in the offseason. Now, do I think we'll move on from a head coach? No. I think Frank Vogel will stay, especially with Jason Kidd getting interest from other places that have moved on from their head coaches. I would expect Frank Vogel to stay. So we'll see what happens with the Lakers in the offseason, but you know, there definitely has to be a good hard look, you know, to see what Rob Pelinka and company could do. And especially for LeBron as well. Like this is a loss. Like I know he was undefeated in the first round until now. But this was a loss to where you expected more out of a guy of LeBron's caliber, and he just did it. He didn't live up to it, and you kind of saw in the press conference at the end to where you know he didn't really seem all there. He in the press conference said, you know, I'm getting ready for the offseason of
for the Toon Squad.
For the Toon Squad, it's when you're a leader of the team, you don't say, I'm getting prepared for the Toon Squad in the offseason. You don't say that when you're a team leader. When you're a team leader in the face of a franchise, now you could say that afterwards, a couple of days later, maybe you know, when you're eliminated, maybe in like Monday, and say, you know what, I'll get ready for Toon Squad. But you don't say that right after you just lost by 13.
Listen,
like there comes.
I can't have you bad-mouthing him. That's my job.
Yeah, there comes a time and place to say it, but
You're
overall,
taking all my points here.
I don't know. Sorry about that. Just overall as a whole, I just hope the Lakers do good things in the offseason. They got the 22nd pick, 22, 21. Pick the right player. Maybe trade for one. Hey, Dame, maybe you want to come here to LA. I'll just take things personally and go from there. But overall, as a whole, disappointed in the first round exit. I definitely expected more out of the Lakers than one and done season.
Okay, all I'm going to say is, yes, we have to talk about the Lakers. Yes, we have to talk about LeBron James. But I want to make this not solely about them. The Suns played out. The Suns did great. I don't want to take anything away from the Suns. I will say this. LeBron, to me, proved in this series that he is not the GOAT. That is my own personal opinion, and I will take that to the grave because, to me, we know that he's declining. Age is that. But he is still absolutely phenomenal. But when it's 5 minutes and 40-some seconds to go in the game and your team is losing and you walk to the locker room, you walk off the court, I have a problem with that. I know other people may not, but I do. You just turned your back on your whole team. Now, if the whole team would have left and you did it all together, okay, that's fine. I don't like it, but I can at least understand it.
The Pistons.
That's why. The Pistons. Well, I want to say the Celtics did it to the Pistons, and then the Pistons did it to the Bulls. So,
but at least it was after this series. This was during the game.
Yeah, that was the last game for them. It was over. But this, it was mid-series of this game that he left. And then if you have any social media whatsoever, I guarantee if you're watching this show that you also have sports stuff on your social media. And so many clips that people broke down where you would see LeBron not playing defense, not trying to do anything. There was one possession I almost lost my own cool with it, like thinking if I was a player, because he went for a layup or something and got fouled, he thought. And he was complaining to the ref. And Suns took off with it, made 2 or 3 passes. I think Crowder shot a 3, got his own rebound way back. And the guy that was on social media is like, okay, oh, where is he? Where is he? Oh, here he comes. And Crowder throws a cross-court pass, and it's to Chris Paul, who was down on the play that had already made it back. LeBron still hadn't got back. It was almost a good, solid 10 seconds without LeBron crossing half court. That is not a leader. You know as well as I do who everyone says the greatest, who actually knows what you're talking about, Michael Jordan. If that would have happened, he might have looked at the ref and complained, and then he would have busted his tail back, tried to get something on defense, or he would have knocked the dude out because that's how you play. So my thing is, I feel like LeBron James has showed that he is not mentally, and I hate to even say that because I know people are going to disagree with me, the greatest of all time in basketball. I just feel like this rained all over his parade on that. Amber, do you agree or disagree? Because I feel like you're with me on Michael Jordan being the greatest, aren't you?
That would never change for me. That would never change for me.
Now, I'm going to fast forward to the Toon Squad comment. I understand, and I know there's a lot of people that are saying boycott the Olympics with everything going on with all that. That's fine. I understand that. But when your team loses the game and you're done for the series for the year, you don't say, I'm prepared for Toon Squad. Who cares about the Olympics? To me, you would say, who cares about the Olympics? We just lost this series. We need to think what we're going to do next year and move forward from this and get everything together. That's my thought on that. Now, Toon Squad, I understand he's promoting, and I get that whole 9 yards. But if my superstar or my star player, my captain on my team, did not even address that we lost and went to his shows, that shows that he doesn't care about me. That would tick me off. LeBron called me at 3 o'clock in the morning at the beginning of the season. Hey, we need to get this extra work in. I'm sorry, man. I'm watching the Toon Squads right now play. I'll be there tomorrow. You know, what are you going to say to it? You know, that's exactly what you did. That, to me, is a slap in the face. So that's what I loved about it. Now, the Suns played great. The Suns looked great. They have a 3-superstar team, I think. I think it proved there. Crowder is playing great during this postseason. I never can say his name right. The big man, I want to say
DeAndre Ayton.
Ayton. I always want to say Ayton, but it's Ayton. He's really starting to finally be the guy that we thought he was going to be, and there's that presence there. Now, my question, and we may get into this a little bit further, is who's going to be the team that comes out of the West now? because before the season we thought it was going to be Lakers. And I understand. I'll even go back up and say this. Lakers hurt. Understand excuses. LeBron should have stepped up and played all out, but he didn't. Because when we make an excuse for this team, can we not back up and say that the Golden State Warriors team that lost to Cleveland were in this same boat? No, we did not make those excuses. We talked about it, but we didn't say, hey, they lost because of this. We said they lost because LeBron and Kyrie, period. So that's my thing. I think the Lakers flat out realize that their star is Anthony Davis. He's their leader, and he's in street clothes.
I think that Anthony Davis injury just deflated the Lakers. I'm going to give you a prime example of, I think I'm going to talk about this game tonight a little bit. When James Harden went down, the others for the Nets stepped up. Blake Griffin hit shots. Mike James played very, very well. 18
points, 14 rebounds from Griffin.
Yes. Mike James played well. Joe Harris played well. So when they lost Harden, they said, okay, we know it's going to be a lot on Kyrie and KD. We're going to step up. Those others stepped up. But those others are used to playing well because they're used to playing without one of the stars, right? Mm-hmm. That hamstring injury going to be quite tricky. I don't know if he's going to come back or when he's going to come back because it's the same hamstring he hurt before. So that's the hamstring he missed 20 plus games with. So I don't know if he's going to come back. But those others are like, okay, I know my role. I'm going to step up and do my job. We know what KD and Kyrie are going to give, but I got to step up and do my job. The Lakers players just didn't step up and do their jobs. Like if AD goes down, I need Kyle Kuzma to give me buckets. I need Trez to get more minutes, which he started to get a little bit more minutes. Caruso had an ankle. Okay. KCP, I need you to give me buckets. Drummond, I don't even think Drummond played in game 6 because Ayton was eating his lunch all series long. So Frank Vogel had to make that change to Morris, which I thought he should have made the change to Morris earlier, but that's neither here nor there. Marc Gasol said, look, I got to get Brian at least 10 points. Like when somebody goes down, others have to step up. For the Nets tonight, you saw Harden went down. There's no way in heck they should have beat. I say they beat the Bucks by double digits because that's garbage time when they were getting those points. There is no way the Nets should have beat the Bucks by double digits tonight without Harden. Just imagine if Harden was playing. Like you gotta think about that. I know the Bucks are rusty. I get that they had I think a week off where they're the first team to finish their first round series, but those others stepped up. The Lakers others didn't step up. I think in order for the Lakers to be successful, they got to get a little younger, right? I think LeBron needs to put some younger cats around him because those older cats, it's not working because the NBA is changing. You can see it changing. Trae Young winning the first round series. Luka's playing very, very well. Denver has a young team. The NBA is changing. It's changing into a younger league, right? So we'll see about that. But I am super duper proud of the Suns. Cam Payne is probably my MVP of that series because he played his tail off. Him and Ayton, you know what Booker was going to give you. He and Ayton played their tails off. Chris Paul had one arm and was still out there balling. So I'm proud of the Suns. I love Monty Williams. I've talked about my love for Monty Williams before. And the Suns are moving on. They're moving on to play the Denver Nuggets. Now, that series with Portland, the Trailblazers, I had Portland in 6 or 7. That Dame, when they lost that game, when Dame had 55, I think that's when Denver knew, okay. You know what I mean? When they fumbled that game, I think Denver kind of knew, even though they were going back to Portland. Denver said, we got them on the ropes. So what do you guys think about that series? It broke my heart.
It was a tough series. I actually think it was probably the most entertaining series just to see how it played out. Nuggets looked good. I got scared. I seen a picture where they actually put the Joker makeup on Joker, and I was like, oh, man, that's really creepy. But it was rough. I don't like scary stuff too much. But I was happy that the series went out that way. I like the Nuggets. I've talked about Michael Porter all year, how I kind of liked him. He's on my fantasy team. I'm glad he finally showed up. I do think Aaron Gordon played out for them. It was a good sign for them. He finally showed up that he deserves to be there. So I'll keep that. I'll just keep it at that for right now.
Okay.
Wait, let me ask you this real quick. Do we think that we still going to have Melo, or do we think he's about to retire?
No, I think they'll give Melo. You got to re-sign Melo because check this out. If it wasn't for Melo, Portland would not be in the seed they were, because when CJ went down, it was pretty much Melo and Gary Trent Jr., which, Gary Trent Jr. is with the Raptors now. But Melo was probably Dame's second best player without Nurkic and CJ McCollum. Him and Gary Trent Jr. were, trade off. But I think you re-sign Melo for 1 year. Now, if Dame leaves, Melo says he wants to finish his career in Portland, let him go 1 more year. He's on a vet minimum. You're not re-signing Zach Collins. You made that clear. Terry Stotts is gone. So we got a new head coach, and I hope it's not Jason Kidd. But
why? I'm lost here.
Jason Kidd's been a head coach before, and I just don't agree with men that put their hands on women.
I don't even know about that.
Yeah. So I've never been a fan of Jason Kidd. I don't have hate towards anyone, but I'm just not a big fan of his. Right. They had to trade Gary Trent Jr. because he had to blossom. But Dame said he wanted to stay. He wanted to be in Portland for life. But Gary Trent Jr., that trade for him is what the Lakers trade for Brandon Ingram is going to do. You see what Brandon Ingram did when he left the Lakers. Averaged 25 points a game. The Raptors are going to pay him as well. The Raptors are going to pay him. Portland can't afford to pay him. So they had to trade him. Now, I don't think Portland can afford to pay Norman Powell either, because Norman Powell's going to demand some money because Norman Powell can play. So that's tough. That's why you can re-sign Melo, because you can re-sign Melo for a vet minimum. He's not going to require that much money. You're not re-signing Zach Collins. Nurkic, you got to figure out what you're going to do there. You got Derrick Jones Jr. If Dame is going to stay, I think he stays. But that's my thoughts on that. You got to get a new head coach. They say Dame wants Jay Kidd. I don't understand why. But I'm not here to debate. I would like to see Chauncey Billups get that position, but that's neither here nor there. But my thoughts on Portland, they're going to have to do some retooling in the offseason. I like what the Nuggets did. That's all I'm going to say about that. I like the Joker will be the MVP. I like what they did. Michael Porter Jr. stepped up. Monte Morris stepped up. Yes, they are both from Oakland. Monte Morris stepped up as well. And that's what it is for Denver. Spicy K, so you got any thoughts on that Denver and Portland series?
Yeah, I just want to say I predicted it correctly. I said it was going to be Nuggets in 6, and it was Nuggets in 6. So I'll give myself a pat on the back for that. Nice cheese right there. But also this was a good series. This was a series where we saw. You kind of knew the series was over when Damian Lillard did everything he could in that Game 5 and came out with the loss. You kind of knew, once that happened, there wasn't any coming back from that Game 6. Like whatever momentum Portland had, it just sunk down the drain. But I mean, you look at, like you mentioned, Amber, Portland, they're gonna have a lot of decisions to deal with. I'm glad they got rid of their head coach Stotts. I thought it was time. I mean, you look at they've been. I mean, but besides the one fluke where they made it to the Western Conference Finals in 2019, I felt like Stotts should have been fired way beforehand. I felt like they kept Stotts too long. I mean, I felt Stotts should have been gone after they lost to the Lakers last year in 5. But hey, maybe the organization is turning a corner. Maybe, we'll see what Damian Lillard wants. It seems like he might want to stay in Portland, but things change. I mean, we all thought Anthony Davis was going to stay in New Orleans, but he said he wanted out and he got his wish. We'll see what happens with Damian Lillard. And I also kind of want to see what the Trailblazers are going to do with their team as a whole, because now that Stotts is gone, it's going to be interesting who you fill in with that next piece, because you obviously know it's going to be whoever Damian Lillard wants or is fond of. They're going to look at him as a head coach, but if they get that head coach that Damian Lillard wants, and they are still a first-round exit team, that's when you kind of start to look and say, okay, now we might actually have to delve into the team itself, because sometimes some situation what happens is sometimes it's the coach. You move on from the coach, you bring in a new one, and then bam, the team blossoms. Look at the Golden State Warriors. Mark Jackson helped develop, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And, eventually, they replaced Jackson and put in Kerr, and they got over the hump and started winning championships. Now,
Unrightfully, they did that unrightfully to Mark Jackson, but I digress.
They did do it unrightfully.
I would have went with Atlanta, is who I would have said this year, because they fired the coach, and now look at them now.
Yeah. But Mark Jackson got done wrong at Golden State.
I think so, too.
Woo, I had an insider tell me what happened there, but go ahead.
Ooh. Yeah, so hopefully it'll be one of those for Portland. You move on from Stotts, and hopefully now you can get your head coach and hopefully actually win a playoff series, because Damian Lillard in the playoffs is spectacular. I mean, he literally put the Trailblazers on his back in this series against Denver, and we just saw that for Denver was just too much for Portland to handle. I mean, Denver, even though they didn't have Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. stepped up big time. I loved what I saw from Porter Jr. in Game 6. That was in a way almost his coming out party. Just him basically saying, "Hey, I'm here." And I also think this further solidifies, Nikola Jokic being MVP of the season. You could have made a case for Joel Embiid, before he got hurt, but I just think with how well Jokic played, and with Denver being where they are right now, and them being a third seed, I just think him being MVP is the right thing. And we'll see what happens with Portland in their offseason. And I'm definitely going to look forward to this Phoenix-Denver series. So the 2 versus 3 seed, I feel like this is a series that could very well go to 7 games. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see Chris Paul, what he and Phoenix can do. Very excited to see what Denver can do. Is Denver going to finally get over that hump? Because it's been building the last couple of years. Denver's been building up and building up. Last year accumulated into them making it to the Western Conference Finals. Can they make it back to that stage and go a step further to the finals? Or is this just going to be the same old Denver Nuggets where they underperform and they fall short again? We'll see what happens, but I'm excited for this upcoming series between Denver and Phoenix.
I'm going to say I don't think they underperformed as of right now. I mean, they lost Jamal Murray, and personally, a lot of people didn't have the Nuggets winning this round. So I think them winning this, even if it went all the way to 6, it proves that, hey, this is a legit team. And I think it'd be great if Murray somehow popped back in out of nowhere and said, "Hey, I'm ready to play," but that's not happening. So I think for the cards that they were dealt, because this is the same team that you could say their number 2 or 1 best player, like Anthony Davis, has got hurt, and look how far this team went. So this team is doing good. I think they have a shot at this next series. I do think the Suns are going to win, but I do think they have a great chance at it. We're really going to see how developed and how skillful is Joker in this game. Fundamentals are perfect. Love him. Got to love the little fadeaway shot. It looks like it would be blocked every time, but somehow he's 8'19". So it's easy to shoot over people. So it should be a fun series though. But I definitely don't think if they lose this round that it's going to be a fail season for them, since with Murray's injury.
Yeah, I think it'll be a learning curve for them. Like Michael Porter Jr. has been their second best player all season long, even with Jamal Murray healthy. Mm-hmm. And in the playoffs, he showed that. I want to talk about another small market team, though. I want to talk about this team. And I said this on Ladies First. I think this team has the easiest path to the Western Conference Finals, because if they get Dallas, if Utah gets Dallas, I think they beat Dallas in 5 or 6. Because Dallas cannot play a lick of defense, and Utah moves the ball very beautifully. Very, very beautifully. And the matchup is bad. If they get the Clippers, that'll be a better matchup. Well, the best matchup for Utah, I think, to get to the Western Conference Finals is Dallas. The toughest matchup, I think, is the Clippers. So we just watched Utah and Memphis. I want to say this quickly about Memphis and quickly about Utah. I'll let you guys have the floor. Ja Morant is a guy that I picked to win Rookie of the Year before the injury. before Zion even decided he wasn't going to play, before the season. I picked Ja Morant. I did not pick them going to the playoffs that year. They went last year. They went. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been out for most of the year. Brandon Clark's been out. Justice Winslow's been out. They made the playoffs. They beat Golden State. After losing to them on that Sunday, they came back and beat Golden State. Well, they beat San Antonio and they beat Golden State. Beat Utah game 1. Donovan Mitchell didn't play game 1. He was ticked off at the medical staff. But now that you see how medical staffs are in the NBA, Michael, we talk about this all the time. Now that you see how they are, you're glad you didn't play game 1, right?
Yeah.
Because this series could have went 6 or 7 if you did play game 1, right? So now you get that extra rest on your ankle. But Mike Conley with a hamstring, that bothers me. That concerns me. He's got a little hammy strain. That concerns me because he uses his quick, fast twitching muscle fibers. Yes, I said it right. To kind of get by. You know what I mean? Like he's really quick.
I got you.
Yeah. So that hammy it's a tricky injury. Utah, top 5 defense, top 5 offense. They're going to be great. They're going to be great, and they're rested. Now, you get Dallas, you get the Clippers. We'll see about that. But not Golden State. The Memphis Grizzlies, man, they are one piece. They need that one. I think they need a veteran that can get them like 20 a game. They get a vet and get them 20 a game. I think they can make some noise in the West. And that's a hot take because Ja Morant came through in the playoffs. Dillon Brooks came through in the playoffs. Jaren Jackson had his moments. They still didn't have Brandon Clark. Got to think about that. Memphis played their tails off against Utah. They fought. And I was so proud of the Memphis Grizzlies. Shout out to you, Taylor Jenkins. Memphis Grizzlies, you're doing a great job. Now, with Utah, that's going to be, I think they have a pretty cool path to Western Conference Finals. I really do. Now, will this rust play a factor in the next series? Because the Clippers and the Mavs are going to be tired. They're just going to be super tired. But do you guys have any thoughts about the Memphis and Utah series?
I'll go first on this part. I think this was a solid win from the Jazz. I mean, we expected the Jazz to beat them 5-6 games. So this was good on the Utah Jazz portion, but I'm gonna go on I think this is more impressive for the Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies, the way how they're playing right now, are the way the New Orleans Pelicans should be. Like the Pelicans with Zion should be in the situation Memphis is in. Mm-hmm. And instead Memphis is there and New Orleans, we don't even know what they're doing.
Oh, but they get airtime.
But they get airtime. and the thing is, I love the future that Memphis has. I think Memphis has a bright future. You know, can they compete and win a championship in the future? Not at the moment, because you still have the dominant teams like the Lakers or the Clippers or other teams insert in the West. But I do believe Memphis, like you mentioned, Amber, they seem like a player away from maybe taking off. Maybe you could look at a guy like a veteran like a DeMar DeRozan. Now he's had his playoff woes, but if you add in that veteran like DeMar DeRozan, maybe that could be what elevates Memphis in the near future. But I am excited to see what Memphis has to offer. You know, I think hopefully after this series, they're going to be more watched throughout the NBA because Ja Morant, he is a special character. I mean, I whenever I see Ja Morant play, I just love the kind of energy he brings. He kind of reminds me in a way of a young Derrick Rose. You know, just the way how he moves around and he just does all these crazy things. Mm-hmm. You know, it's good to see. And you know, hopefully Memphis can keep it up because they're building towards something bright. You know, they're following the right footsteps. And I just want to give props to the Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins. I'm gonna be honest, when he was that first head coach, I had no idea who the guy was. I mean, the main coach that I remember from Memphis was David Fizdale. And when Fizdale got fired, I was kind of like, oh, okay, you know, who's this guy? But He's done a pretty damn good job with the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm impressed with what he's been able to do. If his contract expires, I hope he gets an extension because he has done everything right so far with the Memphis Grizzlies. And I think they're ahead of schedule. I don't think anybody thought Memphis would be in the playoffs with year 2 under Ja Morant. I think this is year 2, right? Or is it year 3? Yeah, there you go. Year 2 with Ja Morant and the Grizzlies already in the playoffs. That's exceeding expectations.
Hold on, Matt. We're going to answer this. We're going to talk about the East in a minute, and then we will talk about that'll be the first series we talk about Hawks and Sixers. We'll get into that because I want to discuss that as well. But go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
But yeah, I love what I see out of Memphis, and let's hope they keep building right, because we see some teams to where they think they're that piece away and they go for it, and then it falls flat on their face. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they just follow the steps, because in my opinion, if I'm Memphis, I don't think Memphis should go all in, because I don't think even if they get that one piece, they could win a championship. I just think as long as they continue the same footsteps, baby steps in the offseason, I think by the time, not this year, but the year after, like hopefully by Ja Morant's 4th to 5th year, they'll be in that title contention. That's the goal for Memphis, to be in that championship contender by year 4, year 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to basically be repeating what you guys said. I think Memphis is just a player or two away. I think they're entertaining. Like it. Mm-hmm. I hate to say this. Actually, I don't. What the Lakers miss is what the Memphis have, is that heart and that drive to play. Like I feel like they always have a chip on their shoulder that they're out to prove to the world, hey, we're good. And I think the Lakers just kind of flopped and wet the bed on that, really. So I think it's an interesting team. I do think Memphis will have a problem trying to get players, veterans, to come there. I mean, yes, you may want to play with Ja Morant, but do you not ever want any airtime? We know how that goes. Unfortunately, there's 6, 7, 8 teams that actually get airtime where you actually get to be seen nationally. Yeah. So I think that might be a problem there. But it's a fun team. It's a great team, and I think everyone would like this team. Like we love these teams that we don't see that much that can actually go against the grain of what everything else goes. So if you an LA or a Miami or a New York, some form of fashion there.
I agree with you guys. It's going to be a very interesting series. Mm-hmm. Whoever Utah gets next. So we're going to talk about this series a little bit, but Memphis, keep doing your thing. I think you're just one player away from really being a contender, because Ja put on a show in the playoffs, right? He put on a show, but you just need that one veteran piece, that one guy. And most teams do need that veteran piece, Memphis. So Pelicans, take notes. All right, here we go. The Mavs and Clippers. I mean, the Claw said, I didn't want to go home. Luka said, my neck and my back feel better. Reggie Jackson said, I think I'll show up for game 6. No problem. What's going on? Ty Lue finally playing Terrence Mann and Rondo more minutes. Pat Bev not seeing the floor. Thank goodness for this series anyway. All right, guys. How you feeling about the Clippers Mavs game 7 tomorrow, I believe? During the day? They have a game tomorrow. Yeah. So what's our feelings about this? I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. Kawhi put on a show. Will the home team finally get a win, or will Dallas win 4 in a row and take the series?
My heart wants to say Dallas is going to win because I'm in love with Luka, not as much as I'm in love with Booker. We all know that. But I'm in love with Luka. The unicorn hasn't really showed up much the whole season. Everyone has doubted this team. I just think it's a good story that Dallas has been at the bottom where everyone talks bad about them to actually in this position where they can upset the 4 seed. And I think it would be a big upset, too, to beat the Clippers. I don't think anyone thought this would go game 7 or even have a shot at Dallas winning it, or at least I didn't. I think though, I mean, that's who I want to win in my heart, but I think you cannot go against the Clippers, even though Kawhi airballed that shot and got the death stare from Rondo that everyone's seen on social media. But I feel like how you even addressed it there, that some of the minutes have changed, some of the schemes have changed, and it's going to be Clippers in this one in game 7.
Yeah, I agree with you as well, Michael. I really want Dallas to win the series just so we can poke fun at the Clippers again. But
Clippers and Lakers, throwing that out there.
Oh, right, wow.
Clippers and Lakers. But I just look at it and I just simply say Dallas blew it. I mean, they had game 6. They were up at game 6. They had control. But boy, Kawhi Leonard just showed up and showed out. I mean, the Claw, what it do, baby? Just pull up from 3, just Just did he did it all. Like any three that he made, it was buckets. It was like Amber in a pickup game, just straight up buckets.
I like that reference.
Anywhere he would shoot, and he just took over. I mean, you just feel bad for Dallas just because they had it. They had an opportunity. They won the first 2 games in LA. They had it there. They had the opportunity, but then they lose 2 home games. But then they take it right back. They win game 5 in LA. Rondo gives the death stare to Kawhi Leonard. You think, oh, okay, this is going to be the new Clippers maybe in the offseason. Last year was 3-1. Now it's going to be the Rondo death stare. But when Kawhi put a shot for the quarter in game 5, yeah, that's definitely tough right there.
Yeah.
Well,
what's up?
What's up, Perry? Go ahead, Matt. What's up, Perry?
Yeah, I just think it's one of those where Dallas had the opportunity to win the series. It was there, but they just let it slip. And you feel bad for Dallas because you want them to win the series. Now, we could all be wrong, and Dallas could go into LA, win game 7, and play the Utah Jazz. I think this would be the first NBA series where all the road teams have won, if I'm not mistaken, right? If Dallas were to win tomorrow, it would be the first time in NBA history to where all road teams won in a playoff series. So it's one of those where Dallas shot themselves in the foot. Now they have the opportunity, do or die, win or go home game 7. They could bounce back and win the game 7. But it's going to be very hard, especially with how well Kawhi Leonard played and with game 7 being at the Staples Center. Granted, Dallas has won there 3 times, so you can't really say like, oh, this is home field advantage for the Clippers. Well, Dallas has won there all 3 times. But I feel like this is a game to where it's going to be who wants it more. Who wants to win this game more? Because if Luka plays great, Dallas has a great shot to win. They have a fantastic shot to win if Luka does good. But if the Clippers can shut down Luka, then this game 7 is going to be over quick. But one thing,
I don't think Kawhi loses at home game 7. But
no, it's going to be very hard for Kawhi to lose game 7 at home. But one thing is for certain for the Clippers, you better win this game 7. You better win this game 7 because for the Clippers, there's no excuses. Now, call it what you want for the Lakers. At least they could play. They could pull the injury card out of their ass. They could be like, "Oh, AD was hurt. LeBron wasn't 100%. Is it a horrible card to pull? Absolutely, because you're the defending champs. Act like it. You could counter it with that. But for the Clippers, what real excuse do they have? They didn't want the Lakers smoke. So they basically lost the last 2 games. They basically said, you know what? We don't want the 3rd seed. Go ahead, Denver. You take the 3 seed. We'll play the good old Dallas Mavericks. And they got shellacked. They were slaughtered. And if you're the Clippers, if you lose this game 7, what do you do in the offseason? Like Kawhi, like Kawhi is going to be a free agent. Now, will he leave Los Angeles? Probably not, because
Miami.
But there we go. It is a possibility.
Rumors started here on Count the Bucket, Miami.
Rumors on Count the Bucket. There's Miami. Miami's got some good stuff.
New York.
Even the Knicks. The Knicks got some good young talent. Even though they got the money. Even though Trae Young just straight up murdered the Knicks.
What if he went to Memphis? What if he went to Memphis? Kawhi
would seem like the guy he probably would go to Memphis just to say to hell with it. I'm gonna go to Memphis.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be a complete curveball. Like I think I'm just gonna sign with Memphis. Like what? That would make them title contenders in my opinion. Because that would just.
And it would be a win for small market teams.
It would be a win for small market teams. Because we love those small market teams, right? Mm-hmm. We love them. I do because OKC's a small market team. So,
he's a small market kind of guy. He went from Spurs to the Raptors to the other LA team.
Yeah. Now, if he would have went to the Lakers, it'd be all over. You know,
Oh, man.
it would be like the Golden State Warriors with KD 2.0.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this would be like pick your poison, bang, bang, bang.
Mm-hmm.
But he decided to make the NBA nice and diverse, good competition, and you know that's that. But you know, for the Clippers, in my opinion, the team that's playing with house money is the Mavericks. The Mavericks, we didn't really expect them to push the Clippers as hard. You know, people looked at the Clippers and said, "All right, they got the Mavericks handled 5, maybe 6. You know, if it goes to 7." Good on the Mavericks. So if the Mavericks pull off the upset, it's good for the Mavericks and also good for the Jazz too. Because like Amber mentioned earlier, if the Jazz want to go to the Western Conference Finals, Dallas is a much easier opponent than the Clippers. Because one thing's for certain, if the Clippers do win this Game 7, they're gonna have some momentum going in just because like, all right, we mess around too much against the Mavericks. Let's put the hammer on the Jazz. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in Game 7 on who plays Utah. I want it to be the Mavericks just so you could poke fun at the Clippers one last time. And like Michael mentioned, the Lakers as well.
Yes.
But, you know, if the Clippers win, then, you know, the Clippers will finally say they did one thing better than the Lakers. They made
Watch out, guys.
They made it one round further.
The train's moving to the east. Let's get on over to the East Coast now.
Now we're East Coast. Okay, we're going to talk about what they want us to talk about. All right, here we go. So I'm going to transition into 2 series. We're going to first talk about the Hawks and Knicks. Then we're going to transition that series and talk about 76ers and the Wizards because they'll be playing each other, of course. We know that. So let's talk about this Hawks-Knicks series. I just want to talk about real quick. The energy in MSG was phenomenal.
Oh,
besides Trae Young getting spit on, the energy was great. Was great at MSG. I loved it. It was great for playoff basketball. I think that series probably had the highest ratings, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I think it did because of the energy in MSG. Trae Young, the social media back and forth with him and Bullock. Bullock said, okay, we're going to meet you in the A. And then Trae Young, you know, giving them buckets in Atlanta. So that series had in the bow at the end of MSG. That series had so much intensity to it. I loved it. I love that series. I wish it could have went 6 or 7, but the Hawks, man, Nate McMillan, they're going to have to extend his offer him a contract. They're going to have to. Nate McMillan's been successful everywhere he's went. So, you know, you replace Lloyd Pierce with Nate McMillan. I'm fine with that. A guy that's won in the playoffs and knows how to win. They need a coach like that, and I think that's what got them over the hump. Because I think if they would have kept Lloyd Pierce, I think they probably would have been a play-in team, honestly. But you get a veteran like Nate McMillan, put him in there. Trae Young, you know, Gallinari's played great. Collins has played great. Clint Capella's played great. That team, just to me, has a different feel to it. I think Trae Young is built for this moment. Julius Randle didn't show up. Derrick Rose was their best player, which I don't have a problem with Derrick Rose being their best player. But Julius Randle has to give me more. The Knicks need a guy that can get them 20 to 25 a night. I think they'll get a superstar this year because they see how Tom Thibodeau has turned that team around. Leon Rose, still got James Dolan, but you got Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau. So you kind of like, okay, I can come play for the Knicks. It looks fun to play for the Knicks again, right? They're not the
especially with that atmosphere.
Yeah, they're not the you know what I mean? It looks fun to go play at MSG. You know what I mean? They have those young pieces. RJ Barrett's gonna have to learn how to get a shoot, which is fine. If that's the only thing you need to learn how to do in the NBA, I'm fine with that. He takes the jump shots, unlike Ben Simmons. He's just gonna have to learn how to make them. But I am very, very proud of what I saw from the Knicks. But I'm even more proud of Trae Young stepping up, getting it over in 5, taking a bow at the end. Love it. Love it. Love the Hawks. Love what the Knicks did. I'm interested to see this next series. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what you guys think about the series?
I'll start out first. I feel like this is a good series for the Hawks. I'm very disappointed in the Knicks. I mean, for one, I thought the Knicks were going to win the series. I was all in on the Knicks, and especially for a good friend CJ, who's a big Knicks fan. I was really pulling for him. I'm just like, you know what? Give the Knicks a playoff series and then let them get shellacked by the 76ers. But I mean, this series just proved that Trae Young is turning into a superstar. I mean, Trae Young was phenomenal in this series. And, I think it's all started when he made that clutch shot in game 1. When he made that clutch shot in game 1 where Atlanta won by a hair because of that shot, I think you kind of knew what this series had the capabilities to be. I like you mentioned, Amber, I wish it would have gone to 6. I wish the Knicks would have won that game 5 at MSG to send it back to Atlanta. But, I mean, you look at the Hawks just simply outplayed the Knicks. I mean, Julius Randle didn't show up. Now, and I feel like his inexperience as a number 1 option showed, in this series because this is kind of Julius Randle. When he's with the Knicks, he's kind of like the number 1 guy. When you're a first-time number 1 guy in the regular season, it doesn't really matter. You could play however you want. But when you get to the playoffs, they're going to hold in on you because you're the number 1 guy. They're going to try and lock you down. But it's when you become a superstar, it's even when you get locked up, you can still hit the shots. And that's what Trae Young did and Julius Randle didn't. And you could say that was a difference in the series. And especially when you kind of knew when the Knicks won game 2 and you saw Trae Young basically saying, "See you in the A." That's what like see you in Atlanta. That's when you kind of know, like I think the Knicks just poked a bear that did not need to be poked. And you look at Trae Young dominant in Atlanta. They won 2 games, went up 3-1, and closed out in game 5. And and I do have to say, credit to the Knicks. I did not expect them to be a 4th seed, and they exceeded expectations. And like you mentioned, Amber, they have the capabilities now to attract a superstar. Leon Rose has done a good job. Tom Thibodeau shows that he still got it as a head coach. Now, his playing style could mesh wrong with some players. He does like to play his starters a lot of minutes. So if you're a starter who likes to load manage minutes, it could be interesting. But, I mean, I think superstars are going to look at the Knicks and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I could be a difference here. And then, I could ask my buddy to come along, and Knicks got some young pieces. They could trade those young pieces to get my buddy, and then boom, MSG energy will be rocking, and, we'll be riding with the big 3. So we'll see what happens with the Knicks. Let's see if they can continue this offseason correctly. And for the Atlanta Hawks, let's see what they can do against the 76ers, especially if Joel Embiid is out a couple of games in this series. It's going to be very interesting. But we'll see what Atlanta does against Philadelphia, and let's see if the Knicks can have a successful offseason.
Now my turn. I would just say was really hoping the Knicks would win at the beginning, but after Atlanta showed up and we've seen Trae personality shine here, it's all Atlanta on this. All Atlanta to the moon, as they say, for Trae on this. But I seen today on Instagram, I think it had Trae Young back in high school and some of the fans yelling at him overrated, and it said the similarity that it came through to the present at the same time. But anyways, in the high school, it came up, he hit last game, second shot or something, made it, and he actually bowed in it, and it fast forward to against the Knicks, him bowing. So it said always a villain mentality or something like that. Listen, about 7-8 weeks ago, I was like, Trae's not that good. Atlanta sucks. I don't know what's going on here. I apologize. Let's go, Atlanta. I'm a Hawk fan now because that was absolutely entertaining. And that's why we're here. We want to be entertained. That whole series, the bickering back and forth was fun. So go Atlanta. Quick to the point.
Quick to the point, yes. Now let's transition to a series and their opponent that we'll be facing next. We're going to talk about the 76ers. We're going to talk about Joel Embiid injury a little bit. We're going to talk about the Wizards. What do they do next? So in that series, I thought the Wizards had game 5 in their hand. They had game 5. They had the lead in game 5. They let Seth Curry go bonkers. They let Seth Curry go bonkers. They had
and yes, she said Seth, not Steph.
Seth. They let Seth go bonkers. Yes, they let Doc Rivers' son-in-law go crazy in game 5. So they had that series. I think with Joel Embiid out, I was like, okay, they can get 2 games, right? They could get another game, but it just didn't happen for the Wizards. What do the Wizards do? Where do they go from here? Thomas Bryant was out. He's been out since January with an injury. Gafford really stepped up. Of course, they lost Bertans. Russell wasn't healthy from part of the season. When he got healthy, you saw what he did when he got healthy.
Mhm.
Bradley Beal played pretty well. They just didn't have enough. They just didn't have quite enough. So the Wizards got a game. They got a game, which I predicted they would get one. They almost got two. They should have got 2 games, but they kind of blundered that a little bit. How are you guys feeling about the 76ers moving forward? I want to give you guys a chance to talk. I just want to talk about the Wizards a little bit because I think this Joel Embiid injury, you have a slight tear in your meniscus, right? He has a tear in his meniscus. You can't play with that, can you?
It depends on what kind of tear it is. I was actually trying to look some of it up a second ago. There's 2 or 3 different types of tears that you can do, and it can heal naturally. And this is obviously, I'm no doctor whatsoever. I have a business degree. That's it. So there was one time,
Big
and it
business,
didn't give a name. That's right. It was said like if you tear it, it usually heals, and the way you treat it is rest, pain medicine, therapy, and inflammation pills as well. So basically ibuprofen, stuff like that. So that one sounds fine, but you have to rest. It said for it to heal. The other one is, and it said it was very least likely, but you would have to have surgery to repair it. So, I mean, I feel like today's time you could probably get some kind of shots there that could relieve the pain there, because what it is actually the cushion for your shin to your thigh bone. That's basically your rubbery is what it caught on there. So that's my terminology, and I'm throwing at you rubbery. So it's basically, I'm sure they could do some kind of cortisone shot that can help that out quite a bit, where he could probably still play. Now, the reason it tears is because of twisting. That might come into play. He may be less mobile than what he is used to.
But now I'm going to pause you here. Clint Capella is very mobile. So John Collins, very mobile. So that's not going to work against those athletic bigs, but go ahead and continue. That's not a good recipe.
Right. I think going back, Sixers looked good in that series. Glad to see Seth play. I think you're already saying, Seth, we need you to continue this because we don't know how much we're going to have Embiid. I say Embiid is probably going to be game time decision for game 1. Just so everyone's thinking, well, maybe he does play, but he's not going to play game 1. I think you do the Donovan Mitchell on this, just rest him another day, give him a couple more days where this can heal and not be so inflamed.
But Tobias Harris has stepped up as well. But go ahead.
Definitely. So great points there, Michael.
Of course.
But before I get to the Philadelphia Atlanta series, I'm gonna backtrack to the Philadelphia Washington series. The Wizard side of things, they need to get this offseason right. They have to move on from Scott Brooks. I know the players, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, they said they like Scott Brooks, but it's what I like to call a media face. Of course you have to say it in front of the media. You're not gonna straight up bash your coach and say, "Nah, I don't want this guy. I want him out." You kind of have to play a side face. It's like, I love Scott Brooks. I
don't know. I feel like today's time, it's almost different now, though.
I want him to stay around, but then you gotta know on the side, it's like, we need to get someone else. Chauncey Billups, Sam Cassell. I want you to come over here instead. So I just think for the Wizards offseason, they have 2 options. You can either rebuild, like I'm talking full rebuild, move on from Beal, move on from Westbrook, and just start from scratch with your young guys like Rui Hachimura, Danny Avita, Daniel Gafford. Or you could say, hey, we still got Westbrook for a couple of years. We still got Beal. Let's add another piece and, try and compete in the playoffs. Because the Eastern Conference is much easier than the West. So if you're the Wizards, if you can add another piece, maybe the Wizards could be a sleeper team in the East. But that'll be something the Wizards have to decide from there. Now, on the Philadelphia side of things, this was obviously a no-brainer series win, easy win in 5. I kind of had them winning 5 games, and now they get to play Atlanta. Now, this series, Philly and Atlanta, it's going to all depend on Joel Embiid's health.
Mm-hmm.
If Joel Embiid is fully healthy, this thing is done in 5 games.
Ooh,
But
you don't think Atlanta gets 2? You don't think Atlanta gets 2?
Maybe they'll get 2, but it's going to be very hard if Joel Embiid is 100%. Now, if Joel Embiid is not 100%, Atlanta's definitely getting 2 games. Now, I agree with you 100%, Michael. They should go the Donovan Mitchell approach. Don't even play him game 1. And then just have him get him ready for Tuesday when they play game 2. Now, here's the kicker here for Philadelphia. What if you lose the game 1? The difference between Utah and Memphis, Utah was head and shoulders better than Memphis. Even though they lost game 1, you knew that Utah was going to kick it in gear and eventually win the series. With how red hot this Atlanta team is, if they lose that game 1, what if that gives them momentum in the series? You got Embiid back, and then you lose game 2. Now you're down 0-2 entering Atlanta. That is, if Philadelphia loses game 1. Now, if they rest Embiid, they still win game 1. Obviously, the series is entirely different. But you also have to keep that in mind. If you decide to go the Donovan Mitchell approach and say, Joel, as much as we want you to play game 1, we're going to play it safe because since the meniscus tear in your knee and you're a center and you're very mobile, we're going to let you rest game 1, and then we're just going to get you prepared for game 2. That's when if you're Atlanta, if you're Doc Rivers, you go to your team and say, we need to have a good performance this game 1 because we are not going to have Joel Embiid. We need to get a leg in this series. Because I'll tell you right now, if they go down, if they lose game 1 tomorrow and they're down 1-0, the series is going to look a lot different just because nobody expects Atlanta to be this good. But when you give an underdog some momentum, it could carry a long way. Mm-hmm. So if you're Philadelphia, now if you're Philadelphia and you decide to play Embiid and he gets hurt more, then you got a problem because you could have prevented it, but you decided to play him, and now he's hurt even more. So if you're Philadelphia, you kind of have to weigh your options. You could look at, like Michael said, the Utah approach and say, hey, Utah rested Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, they lost game 1, but they won 4 straight. Or you could look at it and say, you know what? We don't care that we're the 1 seed and they're the 5th seed. We're going to go all out, play our starters, start from finish, get this series done in a sweep for 5 games, and we'll just rest. We'll just rest when we wait for the Milwaukee-Brooklyn series.
Now, I'm going to add this real quick to you guys as well because I'm still kind of doing different things here, searching. Did you know that another athlete who had a meniscus tear is James Wiseman?
Mm-hmm.
That was his injury. How long was he out?
He had surgery.
So he was out for quite a while, and I just did this right here. It says, and NBA players most of the time are out for 4 weeks. So Here we are. I mean, we're saying he may miss 1 game to rest and could possibly play 2. That's why I think, coming back to you, Golden Hour, is people could say that Atlanta will win this if there is no Embiid. Like, we don't even know really what his health status is going to be. There's a chance that he doesn't even play in this series.
Yeah, and he's had – what does he have this year? Back. He had something else this year, right? And then now a knee. So – and you got – Clint Capella's going to work. Clint Capella's a worker. Like, he's not a guy that's just chill. Mm-hmm. He is a very active big. John Collins, a very active 4. So you got those 2 guys working. DeAndre Hunter, very active. Okongwu, very active. They have active guys down low. Mm-hmm. You can't move. If you can't move, like Anthony Davis showed you, he couldn't move. I mean, he literally could not move with that growing. If you cannot move and jump and be as athletic as Clint Capella, he's going to have a fun field day because Clint Capella can give you 20 and 15. Like, that's not far from any stretch of imagination. He can give you 20 points and 15 rebounds easily because he's so active. So that's what I'm scared about Joel Embiid. Like, he can be halfway decent and give you what he can on offense, but Ben Simmons is going to have to be more aggressive on offense. Tobias Harris has played great. Seth is going to have to step up. I like Maxey a lot. I love me some Tyrese Maxey. I know you love that, Michael.
Yes,
Thibault is going to have to give me something on offense. Those 76ers around Joel Embiid got to give me something. Danny Green got to give me something, because even if he's out there, right? Even if Joel Embiid's out there, he's not going to be 100%.
No.
It's not going to happen. And Atlanta's young. They like to get up and down. They can put him in pick and roll. Trae Young can click a Pelican run pick and roll all day and wear his butt out because he has to move lateral, right? You have to move lateral. I don't know. If Joel Embiid was healthy, I would say probably Philly in 6, but Joel Embiid is not going to be healthy. Even if he comes back, he's not going to be healthy. This could go 6 or 7. I want to say
it's definitely going 6. Like,
it's definitely
hands down,
going 6.
at least, yeah.
Yeah, at least 6 games. But one thing that I will say, if Joel Embiid is out for the entire series, that's when you could really make a case for Atlanta possibly winning this series. But I think
hands down.
But I think if Joel Embiid plays, no matter what kind of health he is, you have him on the court, it's going to help Philadelphia by a large margin. And you also have to look at Philadelphia and say Doc Rivers is kind of on the line a little bit, because remember, Doc Rivers blew that 3-1 lead last year when he was the head coach of the Clippers. So people still got that in mind. So I think Doc Rivers is going to go into the series and say, hey, I feel like if I were Doc Rivers, I would want to go out there and coach and say, hey, I'm still an elite coach. I'm still one of the good coaches in the NBA. I'm not going to be known as, I don't want that label of a coach that's blown the most 3-1 leads in the NBA playoffs, or a coach that's blown the most 3-2 series lead. I'm tired of having that label. I want to go out there. I just want to full on bulldoze these Atlanta Hawks and take the 76ers team to their first Eastern Conference Finals appearance since I was born, 2001.
Hey, Matt, I got a question for you.
What is that?
Say, for instance, Joel Embiid is not going to be 100% this whole series. We already know that. Would you want to have him out there to be a liability for him to get hurt again?
I would have him out on like a minutes restriction.
Okay.
Like I would say if I could get at least 20 to 25 minutes of Joel Embiid, I think we'll be just fine. Now, if we were fully healthy, it would obviously be 35, 40 minutes of Joel Embiid. But if I can get at least a good solid 20 to 25 minutes split out through the entire game, I think we'll be just fine. And I think Philadelphia's going to kind of look at that as well. I think Philadelphia's going to look at it and say, all right, we're going to start out Joel Embiid. Let's get out to a lead early so then we can let him rest. And then when things get rough and rowdy, put him back in and set the tone. Kind of in a way like Chris Paul is with the Phoenix Suns. Like Chris Paul with the Phoenix Suns, he kind of sets the tone, sets the order. When things are out of whack, you put in Chris Paul and he sets the tone, gets the order straight. That's what Philadelphia should do with Joel Embiid. Have Joel Embiid set the tone early, get him going, and then take him out when things seem to be good. But when things hit the fan and things are getting rowdy, if Ben Simmons struggling, Tobias Harris struggling, just put in Joel and put in the work. But on a minutes restriction, don't start him for 35, 40 minutes on an already strained meniscus. I think you have to have him. Now, gradually in the series, I'd say you could maybe bump up the minutes more. Like maybe say start him 15, 20 minutes game 1, but if the series is game 6, game 7, then you could bump up those minutes to 25, 30, maybe even 35 if he's progressively getting healthier and healthier. I think the healthier he gets in the series, the more minutes he's going to get. The less healthy he is, the less minutes he's going to get. Because if you're Philadelphia, you want to eye the long game. You don't want to overuse Joel Embiid this series. And then if you do make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and you got to play either Milwaukee or Brooklyn, Joel Embiid is out of gas and his knee still hurts. Like, you do not want that. You want him as rested, as limited minutes, but good limited minutes as possible, so he could try and get farther and farther into this year's playoffs.
I just seen something on Instagram, guys. This will be the first NBA Finals without an LA Laker, a Golden State Warriors, a San Antonio Spur, or a Miami Heat since 1998.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Just 4 teams.
Yeah.
And a
been
fun
pretty
fact, in that 1998, the Utah Jazz made it out of the West. Utah Jazz are the number 1 seed.
Yep, that would be the Michael Jordan shot when he pushed off. Was a foul. I'll be honest, it was an offensive foul, but
Michael Jordan said in his Last Dance documentary that he had momentum going that way.
He did. I mean, he didn't push off as hard as it looks. We know that, but it was a push off. But let's not go down that road.
But if he doesn't hit that shot, he's going to hit the next shot. So you know what I mean. So
if not, he's going to somehow steal the ball, come down, and then like do a double windmill dunk.
He'll just dunk it. He'll follow it and then just yam it home.
And LeBron would already walked off the court into the locker room because he thought they were lost. So I mean, that's the difference between the two.
All right. Do we want to talk about the Celtics in Brooklyn, or we want to talk about Brooklyn and the Bucks? Or you want to talk about
Brooklyn and Bucks?
Yeah, Brooklyn and the Bucks. We kind of already knew the Nets, Celtics. Hey, I single-handedly predicted how the Boston Celtics were going to go. I said the Nets were going to win in 5, and Tatum is going to go off for 1 game, and that's why they win. And what happens? Tatum for 1 game. Tatum for 1 game dropped the 50 spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
He's going to get you 1. He's going to get you.
Now here's one thing that I will say about the Celtics. Who they get as their head coach is gonna make or break how they will be in the East. Because if they get the right head coach, they can be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. But if they don't get if they don't get the right head coach, they're gonna be in the middle. They're gonna be like the Knicks, like a 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th. Like they're gonna be right in the middle. So
personally, I
think they need a point guard. They need a point guard. They need a big.
I think Boston should blow it up. I really do. I think they've hit that wall.
But they just made it. They just made it to their 3rd Eastern. Like they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think 3 times in the last like 5 to 6 years.
I agree. But
everybody else is getting better. Like everybody around them is getting better. Those top guns are better.
My thing is they're not improving. I mean, yes, they stayed the same. If anything, they probably played better than what everyone expected in the way they played through the season. Like they sucked. Let's just be honest. And then we've never seen Kemba healthy. We don't know what's going on really there. Yeah. So Amber already said they need to upgrade at point guard. We love Kemba, but he's not Kemba of Charlotte anymore. My personal opinion, Tatum is almost the same guy as Brown, and it's not working well in my eye. Tatum, I think, finally took the step forward here and saying, hey, this is my team. I feel like they need to just blow that up and focus on Tatum and just say, hey, listen, let's trade off some. We still got these draft picks. Maybe we could get a free agent to come here. Maybe that's where Kawhi goes or Leonard goes now. I don't know. I just don't think Boston is going to be anything. You've already got 76ers who are looking better than them. You've got the Nets who are way better than them. You still got Miami who is creeping around there. The East is kind of nice now. Mm. I just feel like Boston took 3 steps back when they didn't move, if that makes sense, because the other teams just got better.
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem.
Not to mention Atlanta. I mean, the way Atlanta's looking now, if they get a player now because they're looking kind of sweet, Boston went back farther.
Yeah, and then Miami will be back. I think Pat Riley will make the adjustments for the Miami Heat, which is who the Bucks swept to get here, and I didn't predict that at all.
No one did.
I said, wait a minute, Miami is 6 or 7, right? I was like, yes, Miami is 6 or 7. I believe in you, Miami. And then, oh boy, it just, they're missing something. Now I know COVID and injuries and things like that. They need that guy that can get them 25 because you need that in the playoffs, right? If you look at every team in the playoffs, they have a guy who can get you 25 a night.
Dragic usually averaged about 20 off the bench last year, and I don't think he did that this year very well for him.
But he's not a superstar.
It also doesn't help for the Heat that Tyler Hero just flat out regressed a ton.
He got a baby. He has a baby on the way too, by the way. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Dude's like my age and already has a kid. I guess that's what happens when you make millions of dollars. But
no, there's something else that has to happen for that. But we won't. That's a different show.
No. Rated G, guys, or rated G.
But
that's what we are.
It also seems like ever since Tyler Hero made that grinning meme, his performance just went downhill ever since. So like he has to find his groove, like, because what made the Miami Heat so great last year and how they made it to the NBA Finals last year. All of the other players around Jimmy Butler performed great. Bam Adebayo was fantastic. Like you mentioned, Michael, Goran Dragic off the bench was fantastic. Tyler Hero was playing so good. He got some consideration for Rookie of the Year. Like, obviously, we knew it was going to be Ja Morant, but Tyler Hero was kind of like a third guy that you could throw in there. Even Kendrick Nunn last year was phenomenal. Like, he was the unsung, undrafted rookie that was doing great. And we just saw Miami this year. It was a different Miami team. Miami, it didn't have that. It didn't have that same swagger.
It did.
Miami last year kind of had like a cool little swagger. You saw them buy in. It all kind of also started when they beat the brakes off Milwaukee. Like when they beat Milwaukee last year in 5 games and just utterly just shut down Giannis, humiliated him, just made him look horrible. That's when you kind of saw like, oh, maybe Miami's taking the right step. Maybe this year was their wake-up call on them basically saying, yo, this ain't it. Like we need to get another piece in, because there's one thing's for certain. Miami, if they ever want to get back to an NBA Finals, they need to do some deep looking. Player wise, maybe they should now go for a star player like a Damian Lillard or a Bradley Beal to help make them be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference.
I really don't, and I'm a Miami Heat fan. Like that would be my team if I had to put a label on a team. Would be Miami Heat. Most of the time we hear about the rookie, the wall that they hit midseason, that they can't do a whole season because they're not used to that. Well, Miami never really had that last year, and it was an odd season with COVID and everything. That maybe the real season for them, this was a lot of the rookies' wall that they hit, that they ran into. So I don't think that they need to abandon on some of these second-year guys, because second year is a harder year for them too sometimes. So I have all faith in Hero because he went to Kentucky. That's the only reason. And he's a bucket and Jimmy buckets. Butler is phenomenal with just his demeanor of how he plays. You have to love that. And also he is Michael Jordan's son, but we won't get into that. And Bam is still an upcoming player. He is an all-star. He should get more, I don't know, try to get more something for his defense. More minutes. No. Recognition. There we go. For his
another
defense.
Kentucky player too.
Oh, yep. What? Pat Riley went to Kentucky, just so you guys know that.
Yeah.
So, Bam, I actually should have been in the top 3 in defense in the East. That's just my opinion. Even for the whole award, I think he should have been Defense Player of the Year named in there. I won't say he should have won it, but his name should have been in the hat a lot more. I just think this team really needs to take the summer, get healthy, come back, and actually play. Because you got to remember, this team actually had one player on the team that never played with them, and then they traded him. And I cannot think
Avery Bradley.
Yeah, Avery Bradley never played a game with them, but spent probably a third of the season with them. Just never was healthy, and then they even traded him. So I mean, this team almost is as bad as the Nets as far as never playing a complete team there. So don't abandon the team yet.
Yeah, Pat Riley's going to make some great moves in the offseason, I believe. He always does. The Miami Heat, I'm not worried about. They'll be back. The 3 off seasons I'm looking forward to the most: the Knicks, Miami Heat, and the Celtics, all in the East. I'm just looking forward to those off seasons really a lot. All right, this Bucks and Nets series. I watched all of game 1. I missed like the first 4 or 5 minutes. I missed when James Harden hurt his hammy.
Mm-hmm.
But Blake Griffin, you know what I mean?
How did we get on Miami there?
Because they played the Bucks in the first round.
Oh, okay, that's right. We backed up. Okay.
Yeah, we just talked about that. Then we just kind of, we did that.
Okay.
But the Bucks and Nets, this series, everybody's looking forward to. Everybody and their mama was looking forward to this series because people think the Bucks have turned the corner. They beat the Heat. Okay, revenge win. Then they got the Nets. James Harden goes out with a hammy, the same hammy he missed 20-plus games with. Oh, my goodness, the sky's falling. Katie said, don't worry, I got you. Kyrie said, okay. Blake Griffin said, I'm going to dive on the floor for every loose ball and hit every open 3.
Yeah, and I'm just revert back to Lob City Blake.
Yeah, I'm just going to do that. And then Joe Harris said, wait a minute, let me hit some shots. Bruce Brown said, let me make some hustle plays. Mike James, they just signed him, a month ago. Let me make some plays too. Yeah,
the only good James that's in the playoffs right now.
Oh,
Michael wanted to throw that roast.
Landry Shamet dunking on Jrue Holiday. So I think the Nets get that game at home. I think they gave them a confidence booster without James Harden. Can the Nets beat the Bucks without James Harden? In you guys' opinion, can the Nets beat the Bucks without James Harden? They already got a game. They're not going to get Jim and swept. The Bucks are not going to win 4 in a row against the Nets. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen.
I don't think the Bucks are going to win 4.
Okay, without Harden? Okay, because I don't think he's coming back.
I mean, did you watch the game? Because I didn't get to watch much of it, just to be honest. I kind of watched more of Bleacher Report and how it went. And it really just, even the way it played out on there, and I'm trying to imagine what happened, it just seemed like they just outskilled them, if that makes any sense. Like it was just Nets taking it to them and the Bucks trying to survive. There was no bench scoring whatsoever. There was just the starting 5 for the Bucks trying to do everything they could to score, and the Nets going at will from everyone.
Now remember, they don't have Dante DiVincenzo. He's out. He's out.
Right.
So you're missing an extra shooter. You're missing extra defense, which the Bucks have one of the best defenses in the league. And yeah, Giannis, Bud doesn't know how to play Giannis still. I don't understand why is he not playing 40 minutes? Giannis, Middleton, and Jrue Holiday all have to play 40 minutes. See Steve Nash, Kevin Durant get a little blow. Okay, you go back in. Kyrie get a little blow. Okay, you go back in. I think Kyrie played the whole game. I think he did. I think he played probably 40, 45 minutes. So, Bud, you got to figure that out. That's what happened with them last year, right? Bud would not keep Giannis on the floor. And Giannis be like, you take him out, Giannis look at him like, really? So the Bucks struggle from outside. They scored a lot of points in the paint, struggle from outside. I don't think they'll struggle from outside game 2. But what I do think will happen, Kevin Durant struggled in the first half. He picked it up in the second half. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving understand that we don't have James Harden. The others understand we haven't played with James Harden really. He's been sprinkled in this year, but we know how to play without James Harden. Blake Griffin said, I know how to go get a bucket. Joe Harris said, I'll get a bucket. He was my X factor for the series of Blake Griffin and Joe Harris. Mr. Mike James said, okay, I'll get some buckets too. And they don't have Jeff Green either, right? So can the Nets beat the Bucks without James Harden? That is the ultimate question. I want to see what you guys' opinion is on that. Matt,
and I'll add on. I will say I like watching all Wisconsin. Since I'm a diehard Packers fan, I like seeing other Wisconsin sports succeed. I like seeing Brewers succeed. I like seeing Milwaukee Bucks succeed. But this was a panic mode for Milwaukee. This was the worst case scenario that could happen to the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, if you were the Milwaukee Bucks, when James Harden went down, granted, we don't want to wish any injury to any player. Bucks should have been salivating because I'd be like, okay, this is perfect. This is another player that we don't have to worry about. Now we just got to focus on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, did that backfire because the Milwaukee Bucks, the score may have said 115 to 107, but it was not that. Bucks they were flat out outplayed, just out everything. I mean, Giannis put up some good stats. I believe it was 34-11. Brook Lopez had a solid game, almost 20 points. But the rest of the players, man, they did not show up one bit. And, if you're – now, I was a guy who said, a bold upset was Milwaukee over Brooklyn. That bold prediction does not look good right now. But it is only one game.
Yeah.
And, with the James Harden injury, and if it is a re-aggravation of that same hamstring that he hurt earlier in the season, then, I expect them to be out for most of the series, unless if there's maybe a game 7. But if you're Milwaukee, you just have to set the tone better. I mean, they could not buy a 3 one bit. I mean, I think they had a one point where they missed like 11 straight threes. They couldn't buy a 3-pointer. So, I mean, that's one of those to where hopefully next game, Milwaukee could get that. But Milwaukee goes into a situation now to where now you have to win game 2 because you cannot afford to go down 0-2 heading back home to Milwaukee versus the Brooklyn Nets. That just can't happen because you're not going to win the series that way. If you want to win the series, you got to set the tone for game 2, and you have to win the game 2. You have to have a series tied at 1, heading home to Milwaukee if they want a chance in the series. Now, do I think they could win this series without James Harden? Me being a believer because I said they would, I'm going to say yes, I believe they can. But after this game 1, it's very suspect because they did not look good, and the other players stepped up for Brooklyn when players from Milwaukee did not. Now, I'm just going to say this is just a bad game, and it happens. Every team has a bad game in a series. It just depends on what situation it was. I think if I'm Milwaukee, if you look at the bright side of things, at least we got the bad game out in the first game. Like, at least this wasn't do or die game 6. Like, if you're down 3-2 in Brooklyn in game 6, and then you just couldn't buy a shot. At least this was game 1. Because one thing that the head coach of Milwaukee could say is that the only way you could go is up after this game. Like, you cannot play any worse than you did this game. And say for all the role players, and basically every player besides Giannis.
Guys, I hate to interrupt you here, but I'm having some technical difficulties. I'm going to have to go ahead and hop off here if that's okay. I apologize. My headsets are dying. That's why I hopped off there twice. I was charging them back, and they both died on me. So I do apologize. I will see you guys later. Have a good night.
All right. We won't be on here much longer because I'm getting hungry. But go ahead, Matt. We're going to talk about this series and wrap it up.
But yeah, this was the worst case scenario for Milwaukee. I feel like in a way, at least they got it all out now in the first game. At least this isn't one of those where you're down 2-1 and you just have a bad game. At least they get it out now, because hopefully for game 2 they play better. Because if they, like I mentioned earlier, if they don't play well at game 2, then this series is going to be over in 5. But if they want this series to go on, if they want this series to go 6 games, 7 games, it has to be split 1-1. Because if you're down 0-2, I don't care that Brooklyn doesn't have James Harden. You're not going to tie the series at 2 games apiece, even though you're heading home to Milwaukee. That's just not going to happen. You have to tie it at 1. And in my opinion, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm going full on in, doubling Kevin Durant. And, I know they have Kyrie Irving as well, but Kevin Durant is the main guy. In Brooklyn, you got to find a way to shut him down. So if I'm Milwaukee, just simply write this game off. It's game 1. It's a best of 7. If I'm Mike Budenholzer, I just simply say, let's just bounce back game 2. Let's hit our threes better next game, and let's do our best to shut down Kevin Durant. And let's try and also limit their bench as much as possible.
Yeah, that's going to be a little difficult though for them to do. I mean, they got PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker plays very well, plays very good defense against Kevin Durant, but it's like the Brooklyn Nets others understand the assignment, right? They understand the job. They've been doing it all year because they haven't had all three horses. So those other guys know what it's like to hit shots in big moments. And as long as they keep playing well, it's kind of like, okay, what do you do if you're Milwaukee Bucks? Budenholzer has to play those three guys 40 plus minutes. Has to. There is no reason why. And as long as Kevin Durant's on the floor, guess who's on the floor? PJ Tucker's on the floor. If Kevin Durant goes out, PJ Tucker goes out. Kevin Durant comes back in, PJ Tucker comes back in. That's how it has to be. And they also have to win the minutes when Giannis is not on the floor. They don't win the minutes when Giannis is not on the floor, it's over. Because Kyrie and Kevin Durant's going to be on the floor, right? And Kyrie's more aggressive on offense than Middleton and Jrue Holiday, although Jrue Holiday is becoming more aggressive on offense, and I like it. He was doing some post-ups today. He has some threes. So I'm happy for Jrue Holiday becoming more aggressive on offense, which is what the Bucks need. Middleton, rough game. They got the rust off of it. Boom. Do I think they shoot like this the next game? No. But if Bud doesn't play those guys 40-plus minutes, you can't beat Brooklyn that way because Steve Nash is going to play Kyrie and Kevin Durant 40-plus minutes. So you're going to have to match minutes. You're just going to have to match it. Even if James Harden's on the floor, I think he would play James Harden those 40-plus. So you got to match minutes with superstars because that's the only way you'll get the right matchups when you need them. And those others for Brooklyn play well. It's crazy we're calling Blake Griffin an other, but I guess you can, you could throw Blake in there. If this was 6 years ago, it'd be,
if this were the if this were the Blake Griffin of Lob City, just give Rap the Nets a championship. Like, just hand it over to him because it would be over.
It would be over. But we got some good games tomorrow, Matt. Let's look at the games tomorrow real quick. We're not going to talk about them. We're just going to look at them and give our prediction. Hawks, 76ers, who you got?
I got Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia, whether they got Joel Embiid or not, I just think they're going to come out. I think they're going to come out and set a tone. I think they're going to find a way to shut down Trae Young, and I think that'll be the difference. I think Philadelphia will shut down Trae Young, and they'll take game one.
I got 76ers game one, but it would not surprise me if Hawks won it. It wouldn't surprise me, but I got Philly game one. Mavs, Clippers.
Mavs, Clippers, game 7. It pains me to say this, but I'm going to say the Clippers. I think Kawhi Leonard is going to show up at game 7. I think he's going to put the Clippers on his back. I think he's going to put up another performance like he did at game 6. And I think he's going to will the Clippers to the victory and save Tyronn Lue.
All right. Yeah, because he's going to need to save Tyronn Lue there. I agree. All right. I got the 76ers and I got the Clippers. But we got game 1 of Denver and Phoenix. What you think there?
Ooh, game 1 of Denver Phoenix. Now, I believe Phoenix it's on Monday, and I think Phoenix is the 2 seed, right? Denver's the 3rd seed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think now this may be interesting. I'm gonna say Denver takes game 1. I think Denver is going to continue their momentum that they're flying in. I think they're going to go to Phoenix and take game 1. Now, do I think Denver will win the series? I don't know about that, but I think game 1, I think Denver is going to come in on their high horse, and I think they'll shock people and take game 1. And I think Nikola Jokic is going to go into that game and prove to the league that he's the MVP for a reason, and that's why I think they'll win game 1.
Okay. I'm going to go Phoenix game 1. Because I got to ride that Phoenix train. I got to ride it because
we got to root for Chris Paul too.
Oh, yeah, and Monty Williams. And I'm a huge Devin Booker fan, and Ayton has played well, and Crowder. If Mikal Bridges can get going, Phoenix is going to be dangerous. Mikal Bridges struggled. Cameron Payne, Denver doesn't have anybody that can guard Cameron Payne, keep him in front, because he's just so fast. If Dennis Schroeder can't keep Cam Payne in front, then Monte Morris or Campazzo cannot keep Cam Payne in front of them. He blew right by LeBron. I mean, he's just Cam Payne was a blur. But if Cam Payne plays like he played and Mikal Bridges steps up and Jay Crowder continues to play like he is, you know what you're going to get from Book and Ayton and CP. But if Cam Payne and if Cam Payne and Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder.
Oh, if all those guys step up, then they're going to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, because it becomes a game of we know we're going to get from those three. Now we have our others, right? It's all about the others in the playoffs, man. You know what you're going to get from those guys that have been leading you all year, but those others have to step up. So I like Phoenix game 1. You like Denver game 1. We'll see how that goes. Matt, I appreciate you. I stayed on for the whole show, but my stomach is talking to me. I really appreciate you for coming on talking NBA hoops with me. Interesting game 7 tomorrow. Interesting game 1 tomorrow. And we got interesting games on Monday. Brooklyn and the Bucks play game 1. Mm-hmm. Brooklyn in Milwaukee play game 2. And then in game 1 we got Denver and Phoenix.
Yeah, it's going to be a good series. I'm definitely going to look forward to the rest of the Milwaukee and Brooklyn series because, in my opinion, I think this is the Eastern Conference Finals. It may not say Eastern Conference Finals, maybe round 2, but this is basically going to be the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, everybody thinks that. Go ahead. Everybody thinks that.
Just because you got 2 great players now, I think whoever gets matched up with hopefully Philadelphia, I think it's still going to be a good Eastern Conference Finals. But I just think because of how good these 2 players are, I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo versus Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, maybe James Harden. I mean, sign me up for that. And then Phoenix and Denver, two teams that don't really have like a big market. Like people think like Los Angeles, that's a big market. New York, big market. But Phoenix, Arizona, Denver, Colorado. Let's just see how good this round 2 is. I'm excited. I hope CP3 and company can pull through. I hope Monty Williams can keep up his success. And let's see what Phoenix can do, because this is the first time Phoenix has had this much success in a long time since the Steve Nash era, about 10 years ago. So let's see if they can keep it up. And let's see if Chris Paul has one last chance in him.
I agree.
Because his time is numbered. His time is numbered, and for him to get a ring, it's very, very numbered. He had a chance with Houston. He got hurt. He's got a chance with Phoenix, and let's hope he could get that opportunity.
I hope so too. And I might do a post-game show. I have my podcast at 5 tomorrow, my time. The games are at noon and 2:30 tomorrow. So I'll watch both of those games. I'll do my podcast, and I might do a pregame show. I'm not quite sure. Post-game show, excuse me. I'm not quite sure. Sundays are kind of bad for me because I have a lot going on, but I might do one. I might just have to cop on here and do one real quick, but I'll let you guys know in the chat. I'll let you know if I'll do a post-game show, but Sundays are just my days to just rest because it's the only day I got off during the week. All right, Matt, we appreciate you, of course. You can follow him on Twitter. You see his Twitter handle. He has a lot going on, guys. I love when Spicy Queso comes on, Wise Cheese comes on. He has multiple personalities that we can tap into.
Yeah, even blue cheese. Not a lot of times with blue cheese, but
okay. I didn't know about blue cheese. Where did blue cheese come from? When did he come about?
Well, I think blue cheese came about. I think either when the Lakers lost or when the Aaron Rodgers news circulated. That's when it was like blue cheese.
Oh, okay. Okay. So blue cheese came about recently. This is a recent development.
Yeah. Recent development is blue cheese. Normally Wise cheese is, good vibes. Spicy queso is disappointed or heated queso. Then blue cheese is the not good.
All right. So I love all the personalities, man. I love them. I'm going to get into some sponsors real quick. Check out teespring.com/store/unwrapped and get you some gear and support the Unwrapped Sports Network. Also, patreon.com/unwrapped sports. $1 a month, you're a fan. $5 a month, you become part of the family. 10% off that Teespring store and access to the Discord chat. You can win some money from that Discord chat. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. $10 a month. become part of the family, right? 20% off the Teespring shop, the Discord chat access, and you get a special gift. It's been signed memorabilia here lately, but it's probably going to be, Perry's probably going to change it up. Him and Corey, they get crazy gifts, so they might change it up. Also, how to win that money. MyBookie.ag. Use the code USN100 to double that first deposit. A lot to bet on. Sore achy muscles. RxHemp.com. Use the code RxHemp/USN to get 10% off of your order. I am Amber. It's time for me to go to bed and eat. I am Amber. That's Matt. Michael left us. He had technical difficulties. We appreciate you joining, and we'll be back either tomorrow or next week.